Your Tamlin has brute strength and shape shifting. In Throne of Glass, Havilliard power is described as brute strength. Welcome back to the Book Breathing Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Allie. And this week we're jumping into chapter 38. Yeah, this is the chapter where Feyre's got some chores to do. And we meet the Lady of Autumn. I was gonna say the Autumn Lady, but yeah, the Lady of the Autumn Court. Lucian's mom, and she, pays her life debt with a bucket of clean water. And then we get our lentils task and a very interesting conversation with Rhys. Yeah, probably their first kind of like long conversation. Well, not really, but anyway, it's a very interesting conversation, and definitely is one of those that like I feel like
And
everyone loves.
it's much more of an intimate conversation, one that like it's a
Yes.
revealing conversation.
Yeah, like Feyre is like very much like, I see you, I know what you're
Yeah.
up to, and
Yeah.
like I think he's like genuinely kind of unnerved by
Yeah.
how she just sees right the fuck through him. He's like, is this bitch a daemati? I'm just kidding, but like it's funny. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting chapter. So yeah, we start off with her thinking about the tattoo, and it's
Uh-huh.
actually blue, not black. Did you
Mm-hmm.
think there's anything to the fact that it's blue?
No, but I think there's a lot of doesn't Reese's hair isn't it like talked about as being so dark it almost looks blue?
Not that I know of.
That or maybe it was Dorian's hair.
Okay.
I feel like there's a callback to something that's like that, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Or it's something with the witches.
Hmm. See, I was thinking like because I think Reese's eyes are like so blue they're purple. That's
Yeah.
why they're called violet, but they're because like I remember being like their kid's eyes are blue and he
Mhm.
looks like Rhys, and I was like, but Rhys has violet eyes, and then and I think people on TikTok were like, no, he doesn't really have violet eyes. He has blue
Yeah.
eyes.
He has such deep blue eyes that they look almost violet. But
Yeah.
then Dorian's eyes are always called sapphire, which again could be a very, very deep blue. And same with
Yeah, I just
runes.
was like, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing to like make a note of. It could just be
Yeah.
like a random texture of the world. We're just getting fun
Yeah.
facts, but I don't know. I'm always like, this is a very significant thing. It's like
Mhm.
kind of a whole thing. Like
Yep.
it's absolutely integral. So, okay. Do we think that the eye is actually watching, or is she just sensing her mate bond because she knows now that there's a bond between them, and so she's like has better access to the mate bond? Or do you think it's like something specific with that eye?
I I think it's both. I think that we learn later on that they can communicate through this bond, right? Through this
I
bargain.
think he tells her that, but they're actually communicating over the mate bond.
Hmm.
Or
I
maybe?
mean
I
that,
don't
or
know.
maybe she's feeling this the bond and like this feeling of being watched that like
Yeah.
Rhys
And
is
she
keeping
thinks it's
it.
a tattoo, but it's just
Yeah,
like,
but and it's just Rhys's presence watching her and kind of keeping an eye on her. But I
yeah.
feel like we do get some there's something that's going down and maybe it is just the mate bond and that's what he blames it on the bargain because he's like when he throws it in her face later like it's not my fault I wake up every night listening to you retch and she's like well I'm not trying to show you anything. He's like well it's not like I can't control what you scream down the bond.
Yeah. So he just calls it the bond. He never says the bargain. He
Yeah.
says the bond, but then when it becomes the mate bond, he also says the bond
Yeah.
like that. So that's why I kind of thought that's the mate bond. But yeah, I am wondering. It's very interesting.
My next note is when she's thinking about the spit. It's just perhaps that was the source of the constant screaming in the dungeons. I really want to know what's going on in these dungeons.
Yeah, I forgot
Because
about
she
it
just constantly
entirely.
hears screaming in the dungeons. And so I'm like, what is Amarantha
Yeah.
doing down? I mean, it's supposed to be just like ominous and she's evil and she's probably torturing all sorts of fucking people. But
Yeah.
it's,
It probably is just meant to be like a texture of the world, of the setting.
yeah.
Like people are regularly terrified or
Hmm.
tortured things.
And always
So
coming back to like Claire too, right? There'd been red lines covering Claire's naked body. What instruments of torture had they come from. So like she already knows like what they're capable of. So just kind of wondering what they have in store for her.
Yeah.
If the red hair had not been indication enough, when her russet eyes met mine, I knew who she was, and I bowed my head to the Lady of Autumn Court. And then she says, "Forgiving your name in place of my son's life." And then she does some shit. She says, "My debt is paid."
Yeah. This is our first life debt, right?
Yeah, but why is it her debt?
Um, yeah. I think maybe she doesn't mean like a literal like I have a life debt that I need to get rid of type shit. Like, because in Throne of Glass they definitely feel it. Like, man, it's like we're
Or
not I have to even the score. Like,
mhm.
but
she
maybe
could
she's
also
just
just
saying it like
be
that.
she could also be really fucking skeptical of the world, and like, I mean, look at who her husband is, and so she could
Yeah,
be
she doesn't
right.
want to owe anyone.
Yep.
Hmm.
Especially what being under the mountain, right? Like imagine the things that they are, what kind of debts they're accruing under the mountain,
Yeah.
right? And that she's like, if this girl wins, she'll have, and we go back to our court, she
Hmm.
could have a reason to call in a favor. And I don't want her to have a
Yeah.
reason to call in a favor.
Or maybe she just literally like wants to help her and can't be caught helping her, so she pretends like, "Hey, I owe you one," and then
Yeah.
so if anyone asks her, Feyre
Yeah.
can be like, "No, she said she had a life debt and she didn't want to have that, and so you know that was her
Yeah.
choice." Like, so it's also a
Yeah.
cover story,
It could all
but
be veiled. And it could be something that protects her too, that if someone finds out that she helped, and she'd be like, "Well, it was a debt that I wanted to be done with." Like, if she goes back and she has to deal with her sons who fucking hate Lucien and her husband who hates
yeah,
Lucien and, is already fucking skeptical because of her cheating or whatever, that like she could be like, "No, I did this so that the spring court can't have anything on us."
hmm,
It kind of covers her ass against her family.
yeah, yeah, I think so.
I did think it was weird though that she says my debt is paid and not like the debt is paid or his debt is paid.
Yeah, although maybe that's just a casual choice too. Um,
Could
hmm.
be.
Yeah. Anyway, you can tell she at least appreciates it. She seems like someone who could be maybe be more important later on too,
Mhm.
especially like maybe with Lucian's role as like if he's Helion's son and like learn more about that, maybe she'll have a bigger role in book 6 or
Do we
beyond.
ever get told that like Lucien is her favorite?
I don't know if that is true. Maybe because she agrees with Lucian and doesn't like the brutality, he's sort of by default her favorite. But I don't know if like he was like since he was a kid he was the favorite. I think he's the baby though.
Yeah, I mean it could make sense though. Like if he is the son of someone she actually loved,
Yeah, he's
that
yeah,
she could favor him over the boys who she had with her
yeah,
husband, which is
hmm,
rough, but yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe she would have done it for any of her boys. Like if it was
Yeah.
a different son, she would have also said my debt is paid.
I would
But
like to
yeah,
think that
yeah,
that as a mother she would do that.
yeah. I know it's kind of yucky to be like,
I want to see her like I want to see more of her, and I want to see her because she has a meekness to her, right? Like she's kind of under the thumb of Baron is his name, right?
yes.
Yeah. That she's under the thumb of Baron, right? And that she is really uncomfortable in that meeting because Helion's there.
Hmm.
And that like we don't get a whole bunch of her, that she kind of comes off as demure, a little
Hmm.
I guess sequestered or
Yeah.
meek even, which is an interesting play, putting Lucian and Elaine together because Elaine also gives off that vibe. And so
Yeah.
the whole like, you know,
And like everyone, it's kind of like hopefully we're all underestimating Elaine, and
yeah,
probably we're all underestimating the Lady of Autumn.
I hope so.
Uh,
I mean, she was fucking brave enough to cheat on Baron.
I think she thought he was dead, to be fair,
Did she?
or maybe hoped so, and then didn't bother double checking.
Why was it during the war or
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I think Lucian was conceived during the war. I think Helion saved her from something in the war, something like
yeah,
that.
that sounds
Something like her
right.
sisters got her out, and they were
Hmm.
killed in the war, and but she was able, and then I think something like that.
She has firepower too, right? Like she has autumn power,
Yeah, I think
so
so.
she could very well also be a high lady.
The Lady of Autumn. She's highborn for sure. She's like chosen for Baron because she's noble. So
But
she's
I'm wondering,
yeah.
but he didn't marry her to become the High Lord because she was
No,
okay.
I think she was like married off because her family was powerful.
Okay.
That's the vibes that I think
Yeah.
at least because that's why she's stuck in this
But that would
marriage.
be interesting if to find out that like what happens if High Lords only have daughters and like does it
Hmm.
like pass to the daughter but then when they're married that person like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it would probably pass to like a cousin before it went to a
Yeah.
daughter especially in
Yikes.
some of these courts. Maybe not in every court, but
Cauldron
certainly.
sexist.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Um So yeah, but so cleans the floor, doesn't have to be put on a spit,
Mhm.
and then she's cleaning lentils,
Mhm.
and an insane task to clean lentils out of ash.
Topher, do you remember the name of the movie with the chickpeas? Okay. There is a there is a French horror comedy movie that was or is still on Netflix, and it is ridiculous and amazing and hilarious, but it's about like the devils and whatever else. And there's this demon, and to stop this demon, she dumps out chickpeas, and he immediately stops and like has to count the chickpeas. And so every time I see this lentil scene, I just keep coming back to this like, oh, to stop a demon, you just throw chickpeas on the ground, and they are compelled to count them. I know it's
Is
super
that a
random,
thing?
but that's the first time I've seen it there. But
I've never
yes,
heard of that ever.
it was very funny, and so every time I see this lentil scene, I'm like, fucking chickpeas and demons, man. Yeah,
That is weird. I've never heard of anything like that.
the movie's called Aramentari.
Oh, do you just
Yeah,
randomly watch French films?
so Topher found it and wanted to watch it, so we watched it.
That is so random.
Yeah, but anyways, it was very funny. He just like throws a bunch of chickpeas on the floor, and this demon who's in like it's not even like CGI special effects, it's like
Practical, we makeup.
practical effects, and he's just like ah and like down on the ground. It's fucking hilarious. But anyways, I digress. I'm sorry. So we have
No,
lentils.
I think that's so random and funny. Okay, so, yes, okay, she's scared of, who might come to the door. She's anxious and nervous.
I made a note about what his room looks like.
Okay, let's see.
So there was nothing else in the room beyond basic furniture, not even discarded clothes or books or weapons, as if the occupant never slept here.
Yeah, I think
So where does he sleep?
Amarantha's bed.
Yeah,
Or he's not sleeping and he's plotting out with
yeah,
all the people.
maybe.
No, probably not, but I think he's just sleeping in Amarantha's bed. Um,
And having nightmares in there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
The lock clicked, and I lunged for the poker as I shot to my feet, my back to the hearth and the iron rod hidden behind me. Darkness entered the room, guttering the candles with a snow kissed breeze.
Mm-hmm.
I gripped the poker harder, pressing against the stone of the fireplace, even as that darkness settled in the bed and took a familiar form. So, yeah, more of this weird,
Yeah,
like,
this shadow movement.
shadow. Yeah.
Also, every single time we get Rhys, there's caresses, kissing,
Mhm.
the soothing,
Snow kissed
calming,
breeze.
like purrs, all these things. And every time we get discussions of Tamlin, it's rigid and claws and
Yeah.
pale and squeezing, clenched
Uh huh.
fists. And yeah, it's just like throughout the whole book, I'm like, I don't know how we did not catch on sooner that's
Oh, because people do not. I mean, people sometimes look at language, but I feel like it's my weird little favorite thing to do. But I feel like most
yeah.
people are not thinking about word choice to such a
Well, yeah, and
degree.
yeah, and when we're reading for fun, you're just reading the story for what's on the
Just run,
page.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and you're probably reading quickly too. But I love the consistency because that's some shit. That's like one of my
yeah,
favorite things about these books is actually
yeah,
the tells in the diction and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I also thought it was interesting that he guttered the candles, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just very like spooky.
Mm-hmm.
um,
We
but
get our
yeah,
first Feyre darling.
as wonderful as it is to see you, favorite darling,
Did you?
do I want to know why you're digging through my fireplace?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also very. He's just perpetually like that calm, cool, collected
Mm-hmm.
vibe. It's kind of funny. Meanwhile, she's still like freaking out. I prepared to run to duck.
Is she worried that he's gonna like try something with her? Because like, do I have you to thank for this idea? I hissed. He wasn't allowed to kill me, not with my bargain with Amarantha, but there were other ways to hurt me. Like, are we supposed to be going that dark with it, or is she just expecting him, like, for these kind of tortures to be his idea?
I think she thinks because they said, or the person whose room this is will skin you, and so
Yeah.
maybe she thinks that yeah, that he is gonna that it was his idea or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's very not fitting.
Or at least to torture her with fear.
Yeah, and I don't even like. I think he genuinely didn't know about it, which is why he does what he does at the end and sort of tell
Mm-hmm.
them, which is interesting. Like, do you think? Well, I guess we'll get there, but I was wondering, like, is Amaranth gonna find out that he turned off her chores?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe it
Well,
seems
and I'm
like the
wondering if it's
guards
just
maybe
the.
were had
Yeah,
forgiven
I
or
think the
something.
guards are just having fun with it.
Okay, yeah,
I do. I find it. She's a little one where she says, like, one of your mistresses' household chores, I suppose. Like, I know that that's, like, also kind of a title of, like, the person who runs the house or whatever, like,
oh
but
yeah,
there's a lot of insinuation in that sentence.
yeah, yeah. Which I'm sure he does not like.
Yeah.
Apparently, she or her cronies think I'll find some sport with you. But I thought it was interesting that Feyre immediately goes, "Yeah, no, maybe she's trying to test you."
Yeah,
Um,
she's already on it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's connecting it. You bet on my first task. She didn't seem pleased about it. Yeah. So when then she says, he's like, and why would she be wanting to test me? And then she gets to the real truth of it, the real thing that actually matters. You lied to her about Claire. You knew very well what I looked like. And that's when he sits up in a fluid movement and braced his forearms on his thighs. I think he'd been laying back, as now he's
Mhm.
sitting up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think it's like an
I think she's starting to
interesting.
put things together too, because her internal monologue too is like Amarantha's whore, Lucian once had said. I was slaughtering on the battlefield before you were even born, he once said to Lucian. Again, Lucian's kind of center stage here.
Yeah.
But like she's putting things together that he might not be as one, he's deadly, right?
Hmm.
But that he might not be as allied with Amarantha because she's like, maybe she's testing you, but like I know that people call you her whore,
Yeah.
but how much of that is loyalty? Especially then right after she's like questioning kind of questioning his relationship to her. She's like, well, you lied to her. You lied about Claire. Like you knew
Yeah.
very well what I looked like. So she's kind of pushing. I feel like she's trying to push to see how aligned with Amarantha he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, could you imagine if he's hearing all of this too? Like
In
he's
her
hearing
head.
her internal. Yeah, he's hearing what she's thinking at this time too. That like,
Well, is can he only hear if he's got if she can feel the talents, or do you think he's sneaking in and out
I don't know. Maybe
otherwise?
he could be sneaking in and out because
Yeah.
like she basically calls him Amarantha's whore in her head. Says you
Yeah.
lied to her about Claire. You knew what I looked like, and that's when he sits up. And so like, is he sitting up in response to what she's saying here, or because of what she just called him?
I think it's a response. I think he's
Hmm.
like, because also the thing is if Feyre's putting this together, maybe other people could put it together. But
Mm-hmm.
also, although Feyre uniquely knows that he definitely knew her name,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and
Well, he knew
so
her face.
her face, yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, it's like, oh, he's like maybe realizing that he's at her mercy to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
She is keeping his secret when she could have definitely outed him. So
Yeah.
maybe that's how I read it.
I mean,
But I just think it's interesting.
he says that in the next few chapters. He's like, if you were wise, you would use this against me. But that's the next chapter.
Oh, yeah, I haven't reread it yet.
So yeah, he may be also trying to
Because
gauge
yeah,
how much what she's gonna.
she's a liability if she
Yeah.
knows anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah, but we already have a hint, right? Amarantha plays her games and I play mine. So like knowing like there's probably more going on than there's definitely more going on than we
yeah,
know of. And then he's also putting things on Amarantha as like he doesn't really have, not so much that he doesn't have a choice, but like that he was following an order, which again is not an excuse, but that he didn't choose to put a head in the garden, right? She asked me to put that head in the garden. And as for my Fire Knight, I had my reasons to be out there, which we'll find out in the next book.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think, Feyre, that it did not cost me.
The classic line. I feel like that's one of those big lines that she
Yeah.
thinks back to.
So I'm like, what did it cost you? And he's like, fucking 48-hour cunning lingus fest.
Yeah.
She asks him, how is it that you still have so much that you have such power still and the others don't? I thought she robbed you of all your abilities. And
Mm-hmm.
he says, this is just the remnant, the scraps that I get to play with. So again, right? Already leaning into like the most powerful High Lord, he still has quite a bit of power, even though all of it's been, a majority of it's been taken.
Yeah.
Here is where my theories.
Okay.
Your Tamlin has brute strength and shape shifting. In Throne of Glass, Havilliard um power is described as brute strength.
Who's this?
Havilliard. That
Is it?
Brannon had firepower, and that Gavin had brute strength. And so Elena gets firepower from her dad. And so between the two of them, Elena and Gavin are able to fight off the Valg the way they do between brute strength and the fire of Elena.
I
And
don't remember.
then later on, when they're talking about Dorian's power, they talk about Dorian having the Havilliard power of brute strength.
Oh. Is that tied to
So,
raw power or no? Or is that's the raw power feels different, but maybe. But so Dorian also has brute strength.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. Okay, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
think that's how it's described. Is it like brute strength? When
For sure, I
he
remember he's being described as having raw power, raw magic, that can
when
be like
he
in
he
many
also
forms.
hits a wall in the castle and he like
Mm.
shatters, like he hits the stone and cracks the stone so much that it shatters glass.
But is that because he has raw magic and he can he defaults to ice a lot, but like he
Mm-hmm.
can technically do it all,
Mm-hmm.
and he can shapeshift. So I always assumed that hitting the wall was because of his raw magic and the fact that it could take
I don't
different
know. I
forms,
know
but
that
maybe it
brute
is brute
strength
strength.
is I know that brute strength is specifically mentioned when talking about Gavin, which is a Havilliard trait.
Okay. So yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's
And you
interesting. I
also have
don't remember
shape
that at
shifting,
all.
which is also a Dorian
Hmm.
power. So
Yes.
again, I'm wondering if the reasons why Tamlin gives us so much of like Tircin Aelin vibes is not because of a Galathynius connection, because he doesn't actually have fire. He does, like, there's stag imagery and there's light and there's turquoise, there's green eyes and all the things. The coloring's there, but his magic looks much more Havilliard to me.
Hmm. Also, I do wonder, maybe like Dorian's the first High Lord. I mean,
Maybe.
no, because we know that there was a king, and then they divided it up into seven High Lords. But
Yeah.
technically, like you were as you were talking about raw power, I was or like the brute strength, and we were thinking about raw power. I was like, Dorian has strength, like an ability and a shapeshift. Like, well, I guess he can
Mm-hmm.
shapeshift into multiple things.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just thinking like that kind of maybe raw power is what High Lord power is like that, and that's. But I guess they wouldn't be specialized into like fire and stuff. Anyway, whatever. So okay, so continue with your theory. Sorry, or is that, or you're just sort of thinking that
I
maybe
just I'm
Tamlin's.
I'm noticing because a lot of people will put like Tamlin and Aelin together, and I'm saying that
Yeah,
there's enough evidence to say that there's actually a pretty strong case to be made that there's a Tamlin Dorian connection,
yeah.
specifically through the way that their powers manifest.
Hmm.
And if that power comes from, if you start going back, right, because Gavin's children, who are Haviliards, are also Elena's offsprings, and Elena is is Brannon's daughter. So then all of that, like Terrasin, Stag, Fire, Blonde shit could come from
Yeah.
Elena's line, and then the brute
Hmm.
strength and the shifting can come from Gavin, and then that would end up why he could have some of these both of these traits of both Galathynius and Havilliard, because in Throne of Glass, Aelin only takes the Galathynius type powers because of a direct line to Brannon, where Dorian is also a descendant of Brannon, but he takes more of the Havilliard traits. And so we could
Mm-hmm.
see possibly in Tamlin how those traits could have possibly manifested together.
And sorry, does Adian have brute strength? No, he does
No,
not.
no.
Okay.
And Adian is not a descendant of Brannon.
Yes, that's what we were.
Yeah, he is a descendant of. There's Maeve. Who are the other two?
Maeve, Mab, and Mora. He's a descendant of Mora.
Yes.
He's like actually Aelin's like first cousin or something.
He is a descendant of Mab.
Yeah, you sorry,
Yeah,
Aelin
Mab.
and Adian are descendant of Mab, and
Yes.
Rowan's descended from Mora. Sorry.
Yes. That he is a descendant of an Ash River and Mab, and that's how you get the Ash River last name. And then Aylin's mom is that line of
Hmm.
Ash River and Mab, but her dad is from Brannon, the Galathynius line.
Okay. Although, okay, here's the other thing though: it's that Tamlin is Ash River, right? Green and gold. That's like part of the. That's like the biggest, some of the biggest reason why we think he's
Mm-hmm.
mixed up in this.
Now, if we
So
think that
there is
he's,
also that.
yeah, if we think that he has more of the Ash River traits, then he could still have, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the brute strength, but the shape shifting, again, I mean, Adian and Lysandra could be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Because
that's
he
where
does have
Ash
Adian
River.
vibes too. And then, yeah, then that would be the Ash River stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just some interesting connections between magic and the way that
Yeah.
it's discussed. And really, is
Well,
Tamlin the only shapeshifter in this series? Other than the beasts that live inside the High Lords? We don't see any other shapeshifting, right?
I don't think so.
I mean,
Except Feyre.
he's definitely a descendant or connected to Throne of Glass Fae somehow, because once we get to Crescent City, they say that like the shifters or the people who can shift, like the wolves, are descendant from Fae from another world that all had an animal form.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
so,
I kind of think that maybe the High Lords are like, yes, descended from like maybe the most direct descendants from Throne of Glass because that's why they all have a beast form.
yeah,
Because everyone in Throne of Glass has a beast form, right?
mm-hmm,
Or every Fae. Um,
yeah,
and so that is just like, yeah, it's
yeah.
very interesting.
I also want to know, like, why is it only the High Lords who have this beast inside of them?
That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, maybe if it's from Throne of Glass, maybe the some of the fey blood and magic, and the reason they all have
Mm-hmm.
beast forms is more like maybe that's like word magic, and so that word magic blood kind of runs in the High Lord specifically.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really know, or maybe the cauldron, because if the cauldron chooses and decides the fate of all of, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, yeah, I would think it's like something to do with like word magic that's more integral that makes it different, and that's why
Yeah.
it's overpowered. I don't know, something like that.
Interesting. But then we get the line of the actual beast, right? Oh, all the High Lords can. Each of us has a beast roaming beneath our skin, roaring to get out. While your Tamlin prefers fur, I find wings and talons to be more entertaining.
That makes it sound like he gets to choose it, but he can't, right? They just get
I
what
don't.
they get.
Yeah, I don't know. It
Maybe he's
does
just
make
saying
it.
it like that to be
Yeah,
theatrical.
maybe.
That would be very Rhys as well. Um,
And then he shifts.
yeah, oh, well, first we get a lick of cold hiss down
Mm-hmm.
my spine, which is, just another one of those moments. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting that he shifts right before her to show her. It's probably very few people see that. And also, is his Illyrian, are those his Illyrian wings or his beast form wings?
Yeah.
Or
Yep. So many questions.
they
Yeah.
seem like the Illyrian ones, and they get her
Yes.
hot and bothered, so maybe.
They do. Yeah.
It seems like specifically the wings get her all hot and bothered.
Well, and he doesn't also, right, clicking the black razor sharp talons that had replaced his fingers. Below the knee, darkness stained his skin, but talons also gleamed in lieu of toes. And he says, I don't particularly like yielding wholly to my baser side. You don't like to, or you can't? Because she just asked, like, can you shift, or did she take that from you too? And he goes, not a full shift, you see. I don't like shifting all the way. Okay, but does that mean that you
Yeah.
can't, or does that mean that you just don't like to?
I think that's, yeah.
because
You know,
that's
it would be so
vague.
Rhys to say that he doesn't want to when he just actually can't.
Yeah, right.
Rhys,
It was still Rhysand's face, his powerful male body, but flaring out behind him were massive black membranous wings, like a bat's, like the Attors. He tucked them in neatly
the
behind them,
Attors.
but a single claw at the apex of each peeked over his broad shoulders. This feels like his Illyrian wings. Also,
Yeah.
no one knows that he has wings outside of the court, his court, right? His inner circle.
Well, maybe because they know he's a High Lord, they assume that it's maybe he's just been saying that his Illyrian wings are part of his beast form that all High Lords get.
But doesn't he show his
But
wings at the High Lord meeting? And that's the first time that he shows them. And they're
yes.
all like, ah, you've been keeping secrets from us, Rhysand.
Yeah. Well, but maybe that's because like he wasn't also wearing his Talon feet and they were like, "Oh, that must be Illyrian wings and not
Well,
just
and
your
then, but
beast
people
form."
fought on the battlefield with him. You would think that he would be flying around that motherfucker, but
Maybe it
no.
makes him a liability. Maybe he's like,
Yeah.
"I don't want to get shot down, so let's put him
Regardless,
away."
we know that there's a large number of people, including some of the High Lords, who did
Yeah.
not know that he has wings. And
Yes.
yet,
And he's just showing them.
Feyre, he shows her.
He's just whipping them out.
Yeah. Right? And
Yeah.
like, is it like, and then also like, when he's talking about not having his wings out during sexy time, right? Because it's a fucking liability and like, it's a vulnerability. Like,
Yeah.
Amarantha would have clawed those motherfuckers off a long time
Oh my
ago.
god, she would have tortured him.
But like it's just the fact that he's showing her this is like, my
Yeah, I thought it was
dude, you're like
crazy.
revealing a lot about yourself right now that could be used against you.
And maybe
Not
he
that
just
Pharaoh would
like
maybe know that they don't know that, but still,
no,
like,
she definitely doesn't.
and she doesn't
Uh
ever say mention any of this when she goes back to Tamlin. She's not like, so Rhys said that there's like a beast inside of all of them, and he showed me part of his. Like, she doesn't say anything like that.
yeah. And maybe that's because she inherently like knows to keep things between them sort of private because she subconsciously understands the mate bond, or if she just like doesn't think about it. It's not like Tamlin probably grilled her on anything. Once she leaves, he does, but probably not before. And maybe Tamlin doesn't want to make her talk about things because that seems like
Also,
also what it is.
what is she referring to when she says the face of a thousand nightmares and dreams, right? So it's still Rhysand's face, his body, but then there's these wings. So is she talking about the wings, horrific, stunning, the face of a thousand nightmares and dreams, the wings are, or she's still referring to his face because that's the first subject we get in that line. So even through seeing his talons and his wings, she's still looking at his face. And that
I
his
thought more
face,
about the wings, and I just like read through the face part and just assumed it
mhm.
was about the wings. But
And even
you're
if it
right.
is about the wings, though, that they're the face of a thousand nightmares and dreams, it's a
It
weird.
reminds me of isn't that what she says about the Attor?
I think so. Which is a real shitty connection because I don't want him to be Valg, and I keep
I
coming
don't
back to
want to
the
be
Attor having.
Attor.
Yeah.
All right, I found it. Page 181. So after the Attor, this is when he says, "You have a heart of stone, Tamlin," and he leaves, and then Lucian's all worried that he saw Feyre, and Tamlin's like he didn't. But before that, he says, Feyre says, inside the hissing voice, the Attor's voice, I'd heard the screaming of human victims, the pleading of young maidens whose chests had been split open on sacrificial altars. Okay, it's actually not that similar. That was a goose chase that didn't mean anything. It's still crazy. Um, but it reminded me of that line. Um,
That still reminds me of how the
the
Ilkin are
witches.
made, though.
Yeah. No, we had like in that episode where we
Yeah.
talked about that, we went off because I had never noticed that. Just
Yeah.
never
Pleading
read
of
that
young maidens
same
whose chests
line.
had been split open on sacrificial altars. Yeah, that was because that's how the Ilkin were made, by
Yeah.
sacrificial maidens. Yeah.
I think she's probably just being dramatic here, but it is weird that she said the face of a thousand nightmares about his wings. Maybe that's just a mistake.
Well, a face of a thousand nightmares and dreams.
Oh, because it immediately follows up with that again useless part of me stirred at the sight, the way the candlelight shone through the wings, illuminating the veins, the way it bounced off his talons.
Hmm. Yeah, that useless part of her
Yeah, the
her
part
heart
that gets
stirred.
horny.
Yep. I love that, like, if she's saying this in her head and he does hear her, and then him being like, no attempts at flattery, like she doesn't need to. You've already heard her heart flutter for you, my dude.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then, his laugh warms her blood.
Oh yeah. There's so many things. Her talking about how she only around him could she not keep her mouth shut.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, and also, I had made a very, very big mistake in offering my life to him. That is meant to sound probably as fear the first time, but you know, it's like she's like getting a little horned up, which probably he can smell her, I assume. If smell is a thing in these books. Um and and then he's like, no attempts at flattery. It's like a line. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's smooth. Oh, he's like, he sees right through me type of thing.
Yeah, that she's like recognizing him as like a potential temptation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
I made a note, so like, right, she's asking him if he can help her with the riddle, and he says if she ordered us all to stop breathing, we would have to obey that too. And I said that sounds a lot like Maeve's blood oath power.
yeah, oh yeah.
That this bond that she has over him or whatever, didn't it say that they drank wine?
Says they drank punch, and whenever we talk about the punch thing, um, we do talk about whether or not that's a blood oath if she put her blood in there, but that
Yeah,
was like, I don't know if it has to be direct from the source, and it's supposed to be three
because three
mouthfuls of blood.
gulp. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but it's always, possible. Kind of what makes
It feels
sense.
like that though.
Yeah.
He cleans her off again, and it feels as if she's bathed.
Yeah, for having the balls to even ask. Oh, I also noted the line where she says, "Only around him did I have trouble keeping my mouth shut." To me, I read that as, if someone is above you, you might be a little quiet, right? To me, it seemed like she felt free to talk because they're equals, because they're mates. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. That kind of reads like interestingly to me. There's a couple other parts where I'll start noticing like she's sensing that they are equals, like the
yeah.
way that mates should
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
But this is one of those like
Or
very
at the very least, she doesn't have to edit herself around
she's
him. That she
comfortable.
can
Yeah.
she can be her true
Yeah.
self around him in ways that she constantly edits herself around Tamlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um oh, I also was kind of like, it seems like he was almost asking her to validate his, being a whore of Amarantha. He's like, it's a good thing she likes me, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't, it probably is not like whatever. It's probably not really like that, but it's kind of funny how he's like, it almost is like that. But I don't know. I just thought that question was a little
That,
funny.
or it's like one of those it's a little self-deprecating, I guess.
No, it definitely reads as that, but I
Yeah,
was
it
like,
definitely feels like a sour taste in his mouth while he says it, right? That like she gives the orders and
yeah,
we all bow. Guess it's a good thing she likes me, isn't it?
yeah, this is,
Like it's
which
a
is still a hint that he's like, fuck this.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and then he hears the guards coming and he cleans it all up.
Mhm.
And he's like, I forgot that he sort of hypnotized, or I guess, whatever,
Mhm.
mind magic daemati the guards.
Mhm.
And that's like very dangerous. Like, what if Amarantha had just checked up and said, "All right, tell me what chores you made her do." Like, are they lying to Amarantha? Does she
Yeah.
never check up on it? Like, I assumed also that it wasn't the guards. Now, from this, I assume that the guards were in charge of the chores. But when she was given the chores, I assumed that they came from Amarantha.
Yeah, because she had
Um,
said like you're gonna earn your keep.
yeah. So I was like, how is he doing this? I don't know.
Maybe he's okay with going up against her like that.
Yeah, it seems like he's threading that line constantly. And then yes, you're right. It's funny, I did have it underlined, but I didn't note it in my notes. His voice was an erotic caress when he's talking to the guards.
Mhm.
And maybe that's just to show that he's using his persuasion powers, his mind powers.
Yeah,
But,
that you need to be sort of
you know,
coaxed and like that there's
yeah.
a haze. But yeah, I mean it
Or
could
it's
have
her
just been
interpretation.
yeah, but I mean it's still an interesting word choice for someone who's like
Yeah.
she could have described it any other way. She could have been like, his voice was I mean like yeah, we're supposed to think it's
Smooth or yeah.
alluring or whatever, but I don't
Yeah.
know. It's pretty strong word choice there. Yeah, their yellow eyes went glazed and dull, their sharp teeth gleaming as their mouths slackened. I mean, it's an interesting choice. I think it's telling.
Yeah. And the effect is like, even if you read it knowing what you know, it has this effect of like showing his power and like, dumb days, numb nods. Then they blinked and straightened. I hid my trembling, glamour, mind control, whatever it was he had done, it worked. They beckoned, but he didn't dare touch me. Like it's interesting. Like it's just one of those moments where you realize how powerful he is, and
It also makes you question, though, if Tamlin has these powers, because Tamlin was able to glamour her sisters. And so, to what extent is it a glamour or mind control? What separates what he just did from what Tamlin
yeah,
did to her sisters, right?
true. Actually, his this seems more like mind control. Like, you know, do this.
Yeah.
It seems more like what Feyre makes Aanthe do with her daemati powers.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Tamlin's would be more of a glamour, but there is a lot of mental aspects to Tamlin's glamour with the sisters. So that is interesting. Because yeah, wouldn't people do this a lot more often if you maybe humans are extra susceptible and so you could only do it to humans, whereas Rhys could do it to Fae or something. But you would think people would be doing a lot more glamours and mind glamours if it was possible.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
it's
I mean,
just
it's
humans.
it's like it's sort of a typical thing of like fairies and fairy tales and stories of fae, right? This glamour that fae can put over human size and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's but Maeve does that too, right? Maeve does some mind control
Yeah.
bullshit with Aelin.
Changes history.
Well,
She makes
and
herself a
even
sister.
just fucks
Oh,
with
and
Aelin's, yeah, and fucks with Aelin's memory and what she's seeing, right? And when she's
Rowan's
help,
mate
uh-huh,
illusion.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Hmm.
does Maeve have Daemati power?
Or yeah, or maybe it's just that with that kind of word magic or deeper magic, you can do different things in different ways. But yeah, that is interesting.
Well, and then if she does, then it's like, well, then is that indicative of Valg power? Because the Valg mind control with the callers and shit. So it's like it's just an interesting trying to figure all this out.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it is interesting. So much to think about. And let's see. Let's look at what we have. What is next?
We get our first party.
Oh, she gets dressed
Yeah,
and
we get
painted.
the we get the waifs, and she gets drunk, and then Lucien visits her, and he's like, "You don't want to know what you did."
Yeah. Oh, it's a longer chapter. 3.
Yeah, Lucien gives her a bunch of shit
Yeah.
over the bargain, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. And then chapter 40 is the second task.
Yeah, it is a longer chapter.
15 pages.
We get some stuff with Summer Court too.
You know what's crazy?
Hmm,
Is that the last chapter is chapter 46. We're 7 chapters from the end.
that's crazy.
That is so crazy.
That's exciting.
Um, I'm excited for Miss and Fury. Um,
Yes.
as you know, can be expected. Okay, so yeah, next week we will get first little drunk Feyre party moment
Hmm.
and getting dressed and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yay.
The plot thickens next week, and then we get some Summer Court stuff. There's some High Lord of the Summer Court moment.
Yeah.
All right, it's going to be a good one. So we'll do chapter 39 next week.
All right.
To the stars who listen, we'll see you next week.
See you then.